think so few managers around the world know about Little's Law, the theory of constraints, and pull systems?
I really want to give this to... I know, stop it,
you, Nigel.
This is awful. So Little's Law really sucks. And it took me years to understand it because it uses weird symbols like the lambda symbol. Why they can't use letters like the rest of us, I don't know. But the other thing is I'm just reading what people are writing in the chat. The other thing is that it really is head scratching. And the relationship between the entry and exit, you know, the arrival rate of people into the queue, because it's all based around queuing theory and how fast people are arriving into the queue, how fast people can process the people in the queue, whatever they're doing. I have a slide I use, which is people serving coffee, because, you know, it's the easiest one, the Starbucks type example. But I actually had to visualize it and work through it visually and create examples of it so I understood it. And that's because I really suck at math, truly suck at math. It's one of the biggest regrets of mine from my school days of not really focusing on math. I hated my math teacher, which probably was the reason, but I had to really study it to understand it. And I think therein lies the answer to the problem, is that unless you can present it in a way that's really easy to consume by the receiver of the knowledge, and unless they have a PhD or a degree in maths, it's going to be really hard for them to understand. And that's where, when I tell people put the WIP limits in the queue, not in the process step, people look at me like I've got three heads. But when you understand Little's Law, you understand why you have to limit the queue. And there's a certain amount you can do to speed up, improve the process, but these things are all related to each other. I have posted the slide a few times. I'll find a way to reshare that with this audience afterwards because it helps. But I built an exercise, which I work with some really clever people on, that I use in my teaching, which puts people through an exercise, teaches them what it is, how to use it, and then they use it to determine the average lead time in the queue for people waiting to order pizza. So if you get it into those sort of, coffee barista, Starbucks pizza ordering type terms and visualize it so they can step through it logically, then they understand it. But it's a law, it's a mathematical law. It's been around since the 60s from John Little, that's his name, from MIT. And that means it's true, unless you can prove it's not true. Andrea, Erasto, care to add?
Yeah, well, I can't argue with that, obviously.
You say everything, Nigel.
Yeah, it has me around, so it's true. I would just
next time we're gonna start with you guys. I'm gonna let Nigel go last then.
No, that's totally fine for me. Because we can then just add a little aspect and don't have to go to the whole topic because he nicely explains it up front. I'll just add like a small thing to it. From my experience, I would say it's not that they don't understand it or they haven't heard about it. It's counterintuitive. And so usually it's like the sooner I start, the sooner I get done. And that's the paradigm that has to be challenged. And Little's Law nicely did so. And I think even if it's understood, and as you say, like we have that in at the airport, we have it in restaurants and so on. So we do see it and we have it in our everyday life and it makes our life better. However, when you then tell it to a manager, it says, yes, I understand the concept, but in our case, it's different. It doesn't apply to our field because. So I think like those exceptions and the challenge of finding a simple way of how to apply it without making a whole science out of it and calculating like 5 years before you come up with an example that doesn't work. I think that is really the challenge. But like the book, The Goal, for example, is widely spread. So I don't think the lack of knowledge is a problem. I think taking on that journey and not make it a big mission, but just get started is the solution.